is Thunderstorm Artis. I'm from Haleiwa, Hawaii. So why I wanted to audition for The Voice was just to kind of go and see what the next level was to take my career. I'm a full touring artist. I've been playing music since I was a young child, and I just felt like this was a cool next step. Yeah, so I first started touring with my older brother. We toured as a duo, independent artists, and we went all over the U.S. and into Germany and Canada. And in these last 3 years, I started touring by myself, opening for various artists, but playing a lot of different festivals and playing different venues. I got the opportunity of touring with a local artist from Hawaii through the East Coast, and that was a lot of fun. It's been quite the journey, and this was the first time that I kind of financed my own tour and did my first drive. Being in Hawaii, the longest you drive is like an hour. And so the first time being on the road for like 9 hours and you're behind the wheel, I'm just like, what do you do for 9 hours? Yeah, my hometown is Haleiwa, Hawaii, on the North Shore. And my family's rooting for me, my church is rooting for me, and just the town that I grew up in. I know everyone and everyone knows me, and so it's really cool. I'm excited to see what they think. My singing journey has been quite the journey. I started singing seriously when I was around 13, 14 years old, all because my mom decided that I needed a little bit of push, and I used to only sing in my room and play old jazz standards, and my mom grew up singing opera and jazz since she was 10, and so she just knew it was a love of mine. And so one day, she put me up on a stage in front of people and asked me to sing, and I took a chance and had my eyes closed the entire time, and when I opened them, people were crying, and I thought, oh man, well, that's the response to my music. And they were like, no, it's just one of the sweetest things or most raw things we've heard in a long time. And ever since then, I've been singing every day of my life. Why I think John Legend is a good fit for me, I love his direction or his approach, what he takes on music. Coming from a very kind of jazzy background, I felt like John Legend kind of had that as well, but then also just like, he's such a deliberate person, and I really love that about him. I've listened to a lot of his music. I've listened to watched his music videos, and I've like studied this guy a lot, and so I play a lot of piano as well. And so, like, always people back home is kind of like, oh, you should do more John Legend songs. And I was like, there's an opportunity that John Legend's going to be a coach. Oh, man, I've learned so much. Like, just different approaches on, like, you know, what I would normally do when singing. Like, he just had a bunch of cool little tips. Not just that, like, just someone at his level being so deliberate with the words that he chooses to speak, and just his, I don't know, his entire etiquette and his persona of just who he is. It's nice to be around and kind of to see someone at his level being so real. That was something that meant a lot to me because that's what matters most, just seeing the honesty from someone. And through our conversation, through a time of rehearsal, like, he's just an amazing dude. And I can't wait to pick his brain even more or even get the opportunity to sing with him one day. It would mean a lot. Like, if I got the opportunity to win The Voice, that would mean a whole lot. Not just for me, but for my family, for my hometown, for other people that I know, and just the people that I come encounter with. But for me, just being here, man, is just surreal.
I'm Camm Wess, and I'm from Hopkins, South Carolina. I wanted to audition for The Voice because I felt like it could be a huge platform for my mission and what I'm trying to accomplish. So originally, I got a message on Instagram, which was crazy because you always hear about people getting discovered off of platforms like that, but you never think it could happen to you. And I got a DM on there to come to an audition and made my way. Originally from Hopkins, South Carolina. I currently live in Blythewood, South Carolina. I know I got a whole bunch of family, cousins, church members that are going to be rooting for me, cheering me on every step of the way. I actually was in my senior year of college when I got the invite to come and do the audition. So I had to put college on hold. I ended up having to put my job on hold. I give music lessons and sold my apartment and made the move. Yeah. I think it all began in the back of the car riding with my parents on road trips. My dad would just blast R&B, Brian McKnight, John Legend, just whoever. And I'd be in the back just screaming along to it, just having a great time. And I think that's where I developed a love for it. And from there, just kind of started singing in church, singing in school, on the choir, and it just kind of blossomed. So walking up on stage initially, I think you think about every aspect of the performance, but you don't really give a lot of thought into that, 20 seconds of you having to actually get up on the stage. And I think I just went numb, like not just physically, but like my, hearing, like I think the only thing that was working was my hearing, because I remember thinking, do I normally walk this loud, but I don't know, it was just surreal. I think you really didn't have a sense of, I really didn't have a sense of it was happening in the moment. I remember feeling like I saw John turn around, but I didn't want to look and make sure, because I didn't want to think about if he had turned or not, because I didn't want to get thrown off from my performance. So I tried to ignore it and then just kept singing to different spots in the room. So far, I was talking about this the other day when we had our rehearsal with him. He was given instruction and giving like licks and runs to do during the rehearsal, and I thought it was so ironic that my whole life I've been kind of taking and stealing musical ideas and runs from John Legend, and now like I'm standing across from him and he's giving them to me willingly. So that was funny to me, but it was a crazy experience. I don't think so. I've been a pretty big John Legend fan for a long time, so I've like watched a lot of his live performances and interviews, and so I think he was just like I imagined he would be. Yeah, I was skeptical because you know how they say never meet your idols, and I was like, well, if I choose John, not only am I meeting my musical inspiration, but I'm also going to be working with him. So I was like, well, what if I go with him and he doesn't like me? Like I'll be, that would tear me up. But I decided, just see what happens. I mean, why not? You've kind of been inspired by this person your whole life, so go for it, and I did. Yeah. Well, first off, I'm just winning The Voice would be amazing. I think at this point, I'm just happy to have made it this far. I think every step of this so far to me has meant validation. It's meant to me that I'm on the right track. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I think winning The Voice would just further that validation.
My name is Joei Fulco, and I'm originally from Franklin, Tennessee, but I live in Lancaster, California. I wanted to audition for The Voice because I figured it would be a really nice way to get to the next step, and it's the only singing competition show that I think really focuses on the singer as an artist and really focuses in on the talent as opposed to the story and kind of the outside. So I am from Lancaster, California. I have my family there, a bunch of friends and supporters, and my job is a full-time musician. So luckily I was able to make my schedule work to come be here. Everyone thinks I'm in a recording session right now. They think I'm recording in an album somewhere, which isn't unusual, so luckily nobody's asked too many questions. I started singing when I was 2 years old. My dad has been a musician since he was about 14, and I would follow him to his shows and beg him to let me sing. And finally, one day he let me sing, and I went on stage and sang Jingle Bells in front of like 2,000 people. And I stopped the band halfway through, and I said that they weren't singing and clapping with me, and they needed to sing and clap with me. And I made the band start over. And this was in Switzerland, where nobody spoke English. So I was talking to them in English, so it didn't make any sense. But my dad was like, oh no, she's an entertainer. And then from there, I just started going into the family business. My siblings followed shortly after, and we became like the Partridge Family. So once my family and I kind of became like the modern day Partridge Family, we started performing, and we perform 3 to 5 nights a week, 4 to 5 hours straight. We don't take any breaks. We never follow a set list. We don't know what we're gonna do. We kind of just go with the flow of the night, the energy, kind of with the requests, what people are wearing, kind of base our set list on the energy of the night. And we've been doing that for the past 5 years, really going at it full time, and now I'm here. Right, I'm the front man of the band, and this is actually my first time away from the family. I've never performed on a stage without someone in my family. Whether it's my brother, whether it's my dad, whether it's the entire family, I have never performed alone. So my blind audition was my first real time by myself on stage. So it's been a little bit of a transition. It's been a little scary. They're super supportive though, which has been really great for me because I couldn't imagine doing this without their support. So it's been a really great experience, and it's definitely been kind of taking away my security blanket. So it's been a growing experience. So for my blind audition, the first person to turn was Blake, which was a dream come true. I wanted to be on Team Blake from the get-go. Like, I love Blake Shelton. I love him as a coach. So I wanted him to turn, and then he turned, which was amazing. And then right before the end of my song, Nick Jonas turned around as well, but Blake had blocked him, which was really cool. And I was honored that Blake used his block on me because it's a big deal. I mean, he only gets one, and for him to use it on me so early in the competition was mind-blowing and much appreciated. So I was in the first group in the first morning. I was literally, I think, maybe in the first 5 to 10 people who went. And so I was in that first initial group, which was scary. It was nerve-wracking because they called our names the night before of who was going. And I sat there and I was like, oh no, I know my name's gonna be called right now. I just had a feeling, and they called my name. And I came and I was like, okay, I'm going. So for him to use his block, which he usually doesn't use it till the end, he likes to wait on that thing. It's amazing that he would use it so early. And for me, I mean, it's mind-blowing. So I think Blake Shelton is a great fit for me personally because I am country rock. I'm kind of a crossover artist. I love country. And I think he obviously completely understands the country market, but I think he also has a very good ear for rock and roll and for the crossover artists, and he can understand not only one genre, but an artist as a whole. And I really appreciate that because I'm a writer, I'm a musician, I'm not just a singer, and he has a good understanding of that. And working with him, I've already worked with him for rehearsals, and I have stage rehearsals coming up with him. He really analyzes things, and he really takes into consideration the big picture, and not just necessarily one part. And I appreciate that because he looks at the long term. A little fun fact about myself, I am fluent in French and conversational Spanish.
Okay, my name is Jamal, and I am from San Francisco. So street performing is my career. It's been my way of making money for the past 5 years. But my hometown is currently San Francisco, but I was born in Chicago. So it's kind of like a cross between the two. My singing journey has been very interesting because when I was 15 years old, I wanted to get into singing, but I was originally just doing composing. I was trying to be a film composer and a video game composer, yeah. And I've already made like 2 albums of my own original material at like 14 years old. And then around 15, I was like, I want to get into singing, but I wasn't confident enough in it yet. And it took around 18, 19-ish when I started really taking it seriously. And then around 22, I decided to be a full-time musician because no other job was working for me but music. Because it's like, have you ever lived like where you're mentally in one place but your life is like kind of different? It was like your foot is in the door but you have another foot outside the door. That's kind of how it was. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be a musician. So yeah, that's kind of been my musical journey. And when I really started singing around 22, which is about 5 years ago, I did not have a good voice, but and I did not have a good fashion sense at all. You could see videos of me in the beginning on YouTube. I'm wearing like the baggiest pants, some like really tight dress shirt. It's really funny, and like a broken ukulele, and that was what I was doing. But so it's been a journey. I mean, working with Blake is really amazing because he just gives such pinpointed, accurate advice, and he does it in such a heartfelt and warm way. Like, he doesn't make you feel criticized or judged or like he's trying to manipulate you in a different direction. He's just a true singer, a true professional singer. Honestly, to win The Voice would mean the world to me because I've been working so hard in my career, not only to succeed for myself, but also for my mother and my brothers, because my mother has a disability. My brothers both have autism, and by me succeeding, it's kind of a way of inspiring my younger brothers to achieve as well, and because they came from a place of poverty and lack, and our whole family has had struggles like this, and by winning The Voice, it's kind of like my first real win, because street performing it's nice. It's helped me sustain my family to some extent and achieve some of my goals, but yeah.
Where is the buzz?
Oh, yeah.
Where is the buzz? You said
We used to be
was
ashamed, bro.
mine.
Where is the buzz?
Woo!